So I am 2 weeks now into um, one of my goals for this year, which is to essentially cut down on the amount of sugar I consume because I know that it really has effed me up last year and I felt it. I'd usually feel very fatigued and go to sleep and then wake up actually feeling even worse. I didn't realise that's not how it's supposed to go. You're meant to, when you fall asleep and rest, you should usually wake up more energized, right? So then I was doing some research and I realised that what I was experiencing was a sugar crash. So that's shit, right? I was experiencing that on a daily basis, and I've realised this year I want to really fix it up. So I said to myself, F sugar, I'm not going to eliminate it 100%, but I'm just going to cut down because I saw online somewhere about, adults should consume around, I think 20 grams of sugar maximum per day. I think so. And I really think I was consuming at my peak, probably 65 to like maybe 100. I would just eat sugar, in crazy amounts. So yeah, I said to myself, do you know what? I'm going to just stop it. So really what I've done, in terms of like fat's not much of an issue. I can give up fast food quite easily. It's just the sugar. So I'm someone who I never really drank full fat Coke or Pepsi. It's not really my thing. I'm more of a diet Pepsi fan, Pepsi Max. So that's easy. That's one thing. But even then, I said to myself as well, I'm going to stop drinking that. Because it got really bad, right? I used to, in the past, I would drink a Pepsi Max with my lunch, and that's pretty much it. Just for the whole day, just one Pepsi Max can. And then recently, it got to the stage where I would have to drink 2 Pepsi Maxes with my lunch. That's bad. Like, I know there's no sugar in it, but Pepsi Max is not really the healthiest option. So I'd have one Pepsi Max whilst I'm just eating my food, and then once I finish my food, I'd finish another can off. So I had 2 cans. So I said to myself, this year I'm going to stop it, and so far it's not going bad. I've really cut down on sugar, so I have 1 sweet treat per day. In terms of Pepsi, I was going really good for the last 2 weeks. The last 2 days, though, I've had maybe in total, I don't know how much in total, but I've drank quite a few Pepsis in the last 2 days. One, because I went out, and if you get drinks, you obviously have Pepsi in it. But today I had Subway, and I think Subway is quite healthy. I don't think it's a bad thing. I know the bread is not the healthiest, but I've even said with Subway, no cookies with it, because I found out each cookie has around 20 grams of sugar, which is ridiculous. And I'd have 3 cookies. So no cookies, just have Pepsi Maxes. So I think that's fine. So I had, and so far I feel alright, I don't feel bad. When I sleep, I wake up, pretty energized. I don't have sugar crashes. I don't feel fatigued during the day. And so far, I feel decent. And if you're wondering how I'm tracking all this kind of stuff, I've tried so much things. I've tried different methods in the past. I've tried the apps where you've got to kind of journal and document what you're eating. And you know what? I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's really good. But when it comes to I think tracking your diet's good if there's an issue that you're trying to figure out. More specifically, if you have an allergy, or if you're trying to see if that any foods you eat, if there's a trend of, I don't know, your skin going bad, or if you feel rubbish, then you can see which foods are you eating on a certain day that's triggering off your body to respond. But when it comes to cutting down on sugar, you don't need to track your food, because you should probably know what's not good for you and what's fine. So I've kind of tried a new method where I don't track nothing. I just printed off this calendar, right? It's like a full-on calendar where it's boxes for each day. And if I had a good day, and I haven't got like a full on kind of framework of what is good and what's a bad day, but I have 3 categories. So I'll put a green cross on it if I've had a good day, a yellow cross if it's like a okay day, not the best, and a red cross if I just had a massive cheat day, right? And the way I quantify it, again, is kind of different for everyone, but I will say if I have 1 sugary treat a day, which usually shouldn't be more than 20 grams of sugar, then do you know what? I say I'm good. But I say, yeah, sure, I'm a green for that day. If I have a sugary treat and a Pepsi, I will say, that is probably amber. But if it's just really bad, then that's a red. And so far, it's good. This method, I prefer it compared to the others because you can actually see where you're going right, and you can also see what, you can actually put like a percentage almost on what percentage are you really good for the whole month, I guess, or for the week. And yeah, so I'm going to try and keep it up. But in general, yeah, I think sugar is good. And this is another thing as well, right? So one thing I've tried to do as well is just kind of reduce my food intake. And I know this is not good because eventually, I think I heard somewhere, if you just really cut down on your calories, then yes, you will burn fat, but you will also burn into your muscle, which is not ideal. So I do know that eventually I need to go to the gym 100%, but for the time being, I'm just really focusing on diet. And so yeah, I've really cut down on food, and I realised as well that I do have like a lower appetite. I don't know if it's to do with guts, microbiome. I honestly don't even know what it means, but it's something I believe that is around, if you stop eating your food, you will just kind of have a lower appetite later on. So nowadays, once I've had 1 sugary treat, I don't really crave another one, which is quite interesting. Whereas before, I'd really just go on to crave each, chocolate bar. And then I watched a video on YouTube, which is really quite interesting, where this doctor from the UK, he spent 30 days it was quite specific. I think he spent, for the 30 days, 80% of those days, or 80% of the diets he ate for the whole month was processed food. So then it kind of got me interested to look at processed food, because I don't really think about it as much. And did you know that cheese is processed? Milk's processed. So a lot of food that we consider healthy is processed. So in general, processed food's not bad. There's just certain types that aren't good. So like, frozen aisle foods, meals like curries or like spaghetti, or I don't know, I don't really eat much pasta, but you go to like the Tesco and you go to like the meal deal aisles where you get pizzas and all this stuff, very processed food with lots of like different chemicals in it. And again, I don't think chemicals are bad, but some aren't that great. And he just ate a lot of those chocolate bars. I mean, it's obviously must have been really great. So they done like a full-on test of his whole body at the start and at the end. And one thing that was quite interesting was his brain activity, and how when he actually ate the processed food, his brain kind of adjusted, and it actually made him crave more of that processed food. So really it became an addiction. And I think it's quite a big thing that we need to kind of fix up on. I just don't know. I think processed food is good, is very convenient, but you do need to find a balance. So yeah, but apart from that, yeah, I think my thing this year is just going to be sugar. I really need to cut back on that. Diabetes is no joke. I don't think I really want diabetes. And yeah, I'm going to stick to this calendar method. And yeah, I'm going to see how it goes. If anything, it's more just, it's quite interesting to see how you're doing. And this is one kind of New Year's resolution that I do hope stays. I made quite a few. And I might do a video on resolutions in general, because I don't think that a lot of people have different views on them, you know. I, for one, quite like resolutions. But yeah, so this is one resolution where I'm going to be tracking days of, you know, my sugar intake, or even just general diet intake. So yeah, reducing Pepsis, reducing sugar. And yeah, this is quite fun so far. I feel decent. But I think it comes down to when I weigh myself, which I probably should do soon, because I want to really track it down. But yeah, so let me know your New Year's resolutions, and if you lot are trying to cut down on sugar, let me know any methods that you guys do to kind of track your diet in general. Let me know apps you guys use. I'm not the biggest fan of apps because there are so many, and a lot of them are just, it's weird. Some of them are just quite complicated interfaces, and I feel like, look, if it's an application, I don't want it complicated. I want it really quite simple. But hey, some of them are. So let me know down below, and have a good rest of the weekend. Peace.